retired healthcare executive turned kick-ass career coach, helping professional women up-level their jobs, up-level their careers. And what I really do is up-level souls, because if you're having bumps in the road of the career genre, it's more than likely due to the fact that your soul has some healing and you have some awareness that has been asking for your attention. So in this day of working ourselves through the pandemic, of which I'm calling the Great Awakening, there are some other folks calling it that as well. I'm going to dive into my very full cup of tea this morning. Don't you love it? This was, it's a beautiful day to save lives. This was a gift from my director of operations, Krista. She's saving lives every day, helping all of the team do their thing. Hello, Mary O, Darcy, Carrie, nice to see you, darling, Michelle. So in this Great Awakening time, there is something extra special that you have to know, and you're going to feel it, and you're going to experience it. You've got to understand what's really going on. Don't consider this pandemic thing like a transactional, like it was here and then it was not here, or it's just something we have to get through. It is not something that we just have to get through. It is the aggravating event that is causing everything to get redefined. And darlings, your souls have been asking for this redefining moment so that you could come alive at a higher level. That's right. That's right. This is a aggravating condition for your transformation. Now, most of my wonderful, beautiful clients have had aggravating conditions in the past. And they've usually been transactional. For instance, my breast cancer in 2008 was effectively a transactional disruption that allowed me to have the inner reflection of who I really am, what I was all about. And frankly, not really the mistakes I was making, because it was a journey, but really to understand what I was struggling against. What are you struggling against? What are you pushing against that is causing greater resistance and is causing your problem, your growth area, to be bigger? What is that thing that has been aggravating you, that is coming alive and right here in your face, because we've got an aggravating condition on top of everything else that has been going on for the last 2 months? You have had this pressure upon your life, aggravating and stirring up the things that you know weren't working anyway. They weren't, were they? I know. But you could withstand it for a couple of decades. I know, it's amazing how long we stay under the spell of our denial, our distortions, our rationale. It's amazing how long we can tolerate the distortions of how we make sense of something that isn't working. Many of the women I've worked with in my workshop, some of you may be here, God bless you, I love you so much, and you know it, have had personal childhood or relationship traumas that break my heart when I hear about them. And that has been waiting to be healed for a long time, a long time. So this big, massive, aggravating condition called the pandemic is my way of saying to you, you are being given a gift of the Great Awakening, and it's up to you to do the things you must now do, to move yourself into the woman, the soul version of who you've been meaning to get into. Because that is the purpose of your life. Plain and simple, the purpose of your life is to move into the soul version, the beautiful, awesome, soulful version of you. And you've been resisting it because the distortions and denial have been working, haven't they? You don't want them to work for you, but they do. We're powerful psychological creatures. The mechanism of our psychology is incredible. And it sets a spell over you. You are under the spell of your denial. You're under the spell of your distortions. Well, everyone hates their boss. Do they? Not my team. I've had team members probably who didn't like me too much, but we didn't work out for the long term, did we? So, and that's what happens with jobs and relationships. It's not meant to be a long-term, forever situation, perhaps. If you're not madly in love with what you do, it's because you're not madly in love with who you are. Because when you're madly in love with who you are, you won't tolerate something less. Get that. Get it. You have got to do the journey of falling madly in love with you. I know for so many decades, people have called that arrogance or overconfidence. Look at that person. They're just so confident. They're so cocky. What's wrong with being in love with yourself? What's wrong with having a soul that you deem to be the most beautiful place you want to hang out in? When I wake up in the morning, I run to my meditation. Because me and my divine, we're like this. We're like tight. It feels so good to be in that version of me. Sometimes I don't want to get out of my meditation. Not that I don't love the work I do. I do. That place of hanging out in my soul self means that I'm hanging out with my divine, with the divine. It's your divine too. It's also an illusion that we're separate. I know, crazy. And the internet, this technology that we're on, gives us the metaphor of what the inner connections are for all of us. All of us. And if my work resonates with you, it means you feel a connection. And that's awesome. Because as soulful creatures, that's what we're all about. And I love that. I live for that. That is my jam. Is to be so connected to other human beings, to see their brilliance, that I become the mirror for them so they can see their brilliance. Because sometimes your denial and your distortions cause you not to be able to see your brilliance. It's almost like you got your arm up over your eyes. You can't see your soul's brilliance, and that's okay. We can help you with that. We can take that veil away from your eyes and help you see how brilliant you are. Because I have X-ray vision. I do. X-ray vision into your soul. It's my superpower. What can I say? And since I had 30 years of being an executive, once I see your awesome soul, I'm going to help you climb up into the best fitting job, the best fitting career, and own your awesomeness. Because when you do, that freedom and that joy and that soaring feeling, there's nothing like it. Bravo to one of our grads, Lisa, who landed her dream job. Lisa, you went through such a beautiful journey and you described it in such a gorgeous way. And you know, Lisa suffered a transactional disruption 3 years ago. And she was not connected with her inner self. And that caused her to be not the best version of herself. And then the job got disrupted. And then her journey back to her beautiful soul began. And your face and your happiness are lit up from inside, Lisa. It's gorgeous. And Kelly, with your brave, brave decision to begin being your own boss in your own coaching practice. I'm going to be featuring Professor Kelly very shortly. Her gifts are just life-changing, world-changing to the world. All of yours are. Shine brightly from within, and you will see how awesome you are. This pandemic has given you the best gift ever because it has put you crushingly underneath all of your denial and distortions so that you can see your truth. Your truth is that you're awesome. And you're going to have to move at the speed of your soul because this great disruption, this great awakening has caused millions of souls, millions, maybe billions. With 7 billion people on this planet, I'm going to guess like 25 to 30% of the population is going to have a positive effect of this great awakening. And then about 50% are going to take a little bit of extra time and a little extra work to get through it. They're going to lag behind a bit. And then there's going to be 50% or so, check my math. The bell curve always tells the story. So there's going to be about 15 to 20% of the population that just doesn't make its way through the next iteration of this beautiful human experience. And you know what? That's the way it's meant to be. And I love every soul on this planet. There are people who won't take it up a notch. And that's okay. I saw the same thing happen with the tech revolution in the professional work world when computers began to be a normal thing. I know I look really young, but I was around back then. We didn't have computers or fax machines when I started my career. And there are people who didn't survive that in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. There are people who just could not do the computer thing. I know. So they got kind of washed out in the beginning of the tech revolution and lost their jobs, couldn't keep up, didn't know how to adjust. And then, frankly, 10 years later, the terrorist attacks in this beautiful country and the threat of terrorism around the globe caused another great awakening. Well, it wasn't the great awakening, it was another awakening. And life changed forever for almost everyone on the globe. We weren't in it together like we are now. But I'll tell you what, I've spoken to many thousands of women about their careers, and there's still some women that trauma took them out of the game. And many of us were uplifted, energized, and had a deeper sense of resolve after the 9/11 attacks. And then 10 years later, the Great Recession. That's when I had my breast cancer journey, was during that, 2008. And the Great Recession was about a 2-year time period of fear and anxiety, depressed stock markets. And some people didn't climb out of that. I've talked to, again, thousands of women, and sometimes they had a big career inflection during those times and haven't gotten back. It's a beautiful day to save lives. This is the greatest of all of those inflection points. There has never been a time when the entire human population paused. There has never been a time when connecting physically has been a problem like it is for so long, for so many. You know, in the Great Flu epidemic in 1918, they didn't know about it quickly enough and couldn't communicate it quickly enough, and 50 million people perished from this earth. Could you imagine right now if this pandemic was killing 50 million people? it would be a whole different scene, wouldn't it? I'm not saying that the deaths from this are insignificant. They are. I'm not saying that the toil and the turmoil, the economic downturn that has caused so many people to lose their livelihood, restaurants and other places that people gathered, shuttered, and many of those companies filing for bankruptcy, reorganization, or going out of business totally. It's a flushing out, just like in many times in hurricane season here in the South Florida region. The weaker trees, the weaker structures, the debris gets loosened and washes away. And there are literally stacks and piles of debris that get washed out, and buildings get rebuilt to new specifications, and trees maybe never get replaced. Sometimes they do. But oftentimes we say, you know what? I don't need a tree there. I can do without that tree and have the open sky. And building codes get reinforced, and the new buildings that come up have to meet those new codes. That's what we do in Hurricaneville. And we've had some massive hurricanes over the last 15 years that have redefined building codes and structures and what we know to be true. We live in an age where information and transformation are happening at a pace that has never happened before. I don't know about you, but my mom never really cared about being inner satisfied. She lived in a different structure, a different rule book, a different set of spells that she has lived under for her 87 years. It's different. It's not wrong. It's different. Every age of humanity has different rule books. And you personally have your own internal rule book that you live by. And that has been crushed. And that has been questioned. And now it is your turn to redefine the rules in which you want to live by. So many women in my advanced programs have said to me over the last couple of months in our coaching sessions how they never imagined that they could really work successfully at a higher level job than they worked before in a remote situation, and having that level of freedom. And when they really pause to think about it, they can't believe how great their life is, that they're earning more money, having a better job, working with better, cooler people, know how to leverage technology, and they're just nimble. They're nimble in the world, and they're doing their great work. Yep, that's the new world order, people. We've been doing it for years. Bam! Kick-ass world. That's what we've been doing. We've been setting the stage for women to transform and to redefine who they are and how they work. And it's been a beautiful ride to watch those women do that. And some of you ladies on this call are those women. And you inspire me every single day. I think about you every day. Yesterday, just with the different things that I was doing and the meditation and where I'm at personally in my journey and the coaching I got yesterday from my coaches, I went into a special meditation and I prayed. I prayed that every soul that I've ever touched is feeling love and happiness and knows who they are. Because one of the things that this has caused for us is to know how connected we are as human beings. And if we have crossed roads, if we have crossed paths, I want you to know that I love you. I love your soul. I love your journey. And I love everything that you're about, whether we got a chance to work together or not. And certainly those of you women who we've gotten a chance to work together and have a deeper transformation and a life-changing, altering relationship, you know how dearly I love you and your journey. You know how dearly I appreciate and honor who you are. And I'm going to continue to do that as part of my my daily ritual, is to sit in such gratitude that I'm going to send you love and prayers. Because that's what we're here for each other. We're here to be connectors of love and grace and joy. Now, I know how to get you on an accelerated course of that. Yep, I sure do. But I'm going to tell you what. Even the women who don't call me back, I had one this week, a woman who I knew I could help. Boy, did she need the help. Oh, goodness. And she said she was ready and rocking and rolling. And you know what? She said, oh, let's talk tomorrow morning. She never answered the calls. She never answered the text messages. And you know, it's funny. I sort of get that, but it breaks my heart. Because we had a really deep personal human connection, and she really needed help. Can't save them all. So, have a beautiful Thursday. Please reflect for yourself what this great awakening means for you and what your soul's been nudging at you for that next layer of awareness and happiness and clarity and joy. I know it's been pulling me forward at a rapid, rapid pace. This last 2 months have been some of the fastest, most transformative times I've personally had. And I'm going to continue to build and grow. I'm going to continue to be inspired to make a bigger and bigger impact in the world. That's my mission. And I'm going to continue to help women understand their beauty and their power, because the soul is where your power is. That's the only place it exists. And if you're looking for it in the outside world, you're never going to find it. But you know what? Most human beings don't have the roadmap to get there. And I've been blessed to have a very successful roadmap on how to get there. And I love helping our ladies find their treasure inside. It's a blessed journey. Have a beautiful Thursday. Have a gorgeous experience as a human being today, and realize and remember that you're connected to all these other humans. I'm going live on my radio show at 12 noon Eastern time. I'll be there. Will you? See you then. Love and love.